here we are. We've made it to Aries season. I'm pretty happy about that. But what would this Aries season be without some big conversations going on? Without some major shakeups in the way we're perceiving reality? Yeah, that's what this moon is going to be doing. If I'm going to give you a little keynote, it's that perceptions of reality are going to be challenged, and what some people see as truth, other people will see as lies. What you perceive as obvious, other people will question. That Libran energy is really interesting. So this is a Libra full moon on March 31st. And what's interesting about this is we also have a Mercury retrograde happening at the same time, right? So communication's already slowed down. And the moon in Libra isn't in its most comfortable position. The intuitive moon in air energy, especially like Libran energy, is an odd pairing. Because the intuitive moon wants to work with that water element of knowing, of faith here. And Libran energy wants to work up here. Air, we want to make the connections. Conversations and dialogue and all of those things that we use are so important. And Libran energy is very important because the Aries-Libra axis is the individual on the Aries side, and how we relate to other, self and other, is in Libra. So this is a really beautiful axis, right? It's like the most basic human spirit connection we have. Ourselves, understanding ourselves as a being, and then understanding ourselves in the reflection of another. So the Aries-Libra axis, beautiful. This full moon is on March 31st. I think I mentioned that, at 10 degrees of Libra. So the Libra full moon, I find, is always a tearjerker. But I think by now you guys know that I tend to cry a little bit, just throughout things. So it's not a surprise that a full moon would bring tears up. I know last year the Libran full moon was so intense for me. However, this one has some interesting things happening. So the nature of reality is getting questioned. Just the way that moon is sitting there in Libra, because we have a Mercury retrograde going on in Aries. That's affecting the experience of this moon. There are two important stars that are actually aligned with this full moon as well. And this is really interesting because we have one, which is Purima. It's in the constellation of Virgo. And this is associated with a Roman goddess of foresight, of prophecy. So there's a sense of, so that energy is making you feel that you can see the future, that you can see what's going on. But there's this other star, and I hope I say this right, Gienah, and that's in this crow, this Corvus constellation, and its energy of like craftiness. If you've read any fables, there's always like a crafty character like Raven or Coyote or Briar Rabbit. These crafty mercurial energies that kind of like to play tricks. So you have these two energies, one that's like, I can see the future, and one that is like, I can play tricks on you. You have that affecting the Libra full moon, which once again, Libra is about dialogue. It's about back and forth. It's about weighing things out, and the nature of reality can get very foggy in Libran energy. That's one of the challenges Librans have, is finding the center point of the story. And when we're in Libran energy, we're all working with that. We're all working through our own sense of reality. So you have these stars working at this. Okay, so there's the basics. Then, my friends, we also have something else going on, which is a T-square with Mars and Saturn conjunct in Capricorn. So there are two conversations going on, because Mars and Saturn are going to get to the point. They want to make things happen. They want to make things practical, Mars is very impatient, wants the action. Saturn is going to slow everything down and make sure we get the practical details. And in Capricorn, where practicality rules, that is such a grounded, solid, firm, like stubborn conversation going on over there. And it's squaring off against this nature of reality, nature of prophecy, nature of Mercury conversation kind of energy going on. What a dissonance. What a dissonance. Now, what I will say is, even though it is a T-square, and T-squares, when you have a squaring off like that, it's a challenging aspect. Things aren't just flowing. There's it's like a traffic jam, or like if you got T-boned almost, it's like things are, it's a little jarring. It's not as smooth of a ride. It's a little bit more hiccuping, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to work through these two elements, right? But I kind of like the fact that we have this super grounded, focused, intense energy in Capricorn, because I do feel like if you can listen into that and utilize that slower moving energy that's a little bit more about like take a breath, it will make this airier kind of Libran emotion energy seem a lot less important. Because here's one thing I'm going to say about this. This moon is going to make certain conversations, concepts, people, pieces of gossip that you hear seem really important and essential for you. It's going to make it seem like it is the center of the world. And it could be very easy over the course, moon energy, full moon energy is a 2 or 3 day process. Over the course of a couple days, you might really feel like you have to address this thing. This might be feel like the most important thing that's ever happened. But if you're listening in through your body and you can kind of tap into this Mars-Saturn energy over in Capricorn, you can let this wave ride. You can ride the wave out. That's what I mean. You can ride it out. It'll be fine. And I think that's really the key here. The other key that I was thinking about when I was thinking about this moon is that the moon itself, she's not feeling fully herself in Libra. It's just moon energy isn't Libran energy, and they don't always connect. But the moon is still the moon. Mother Moon is still there with us. Mother Moon is still wanting to bring us something beautiful. And the moon is always intuitive. So, tapping into our water side, right, which is always what moon rituals are about, we're really tapping into our soul intuitive water side, will give you the real answers. There's going to be a lot of crackling static noise on the surface. Lots of gossip, possibly. Lots of storytelling, lots of weaving, lots of morphing of reality. But if you're listening into your intuitive sense, they'll give you all the answers. I always suggest with full moons, anytime you feel that impulsive need to pick up the phone and call that person, or write that letter, or spill that opinion, or call somebody out, to wait it out. If it's still applicable a few days later, then it's probably something that needs to be weighed out. But a lot of times, that impulsive energy of full moons can just make a lot more noise than we need. I do think, honestly, it's just a jittery moon. You're going to feel on edge, you're going to feel nervous, you might feel like you don't know where people stand. If you're having relationship conversations or you're not sure how a certain relationship is going, and that can be anything, family, friends, like romantic relationships, you might feel on edge, you might feel paranoid, you might feel a little nervous. And the other aspect of this, I keep thinking of more and more things. I'm going to start shuffling here. One aspect of this as well, with the moon in Libra like that, it's also about reputation. It's also about how you're putting yourself out there in the world and worrying how you look. Worrying about how you look to other people. If you're pleasing other people. If you're valuable to other people. And it's going to be tempting to buy into thinking about what other people are thinking about you. but it's none of your business. And I guarantee you with this moon energy, the way that it's working up in the cerebral side of things, it's really easy to start writing like those crazy stories that we write sometimes when we feel anxiety. Anybody who struggles with anxiety or anything like that will know what I'm talking about when I say, you start writing those stories about people, how they go when they're talking about you, or how, everybody's against you or nobody likes you, those kind of stories. It might be very tempting to buy into that. Once again, just keep in mind that this is the energy that's dominating here, and it's a little misleading. It's highlighting a part of us and a part of this process, and the way with the T-square and just the way that things are in the degrees and the stars, the way everything's, it's causing us to be a little bit skittish. So just know that this moon is going to be a great time to mind your own business. Is a great time to slow down, maybe just stay home. Maybe just take a long hot bath, go for a long run or a hike, just be nice to yourself. Here's something. I just thought of this, and I'm pulling cards here. I'm going to pull 3. We just need to keep this simple. Here's something to do. This is a fun game. Every time you want to say something to yourself that isn't very kind or that is impatient, replace it with a kinder thought. I'm not doing things well enough. Maybe replace it with everything you've accomplished that week. Okay, the 3 cards that came out. King of Wands. Judgment. The World. Okay, these are strong energies. These are very strong energies, and they are speaking of the truth being more solid than it's going to feel like in this moon. Part of the reason I say that, okay, King of Wands is great energy. You know why? 'Cause this is resolute energy. Aries season. But King of Wands energy it's a father figure. It's a fatherly energy. It's also resolute, stable in a lot of ways. Even though it's fire, it's that, see the way he's looking? So focused. That focused laser vision. He's kind of keeping in his lane. This guy is keeping in his lane. That is such a valuable tool for this full moon. Keep in your lane. Keep your eye on what matters to you and where you are. Yes. And Aries on a mission, like when they've decided they're going for that, it's a beautiful thing to watch. That's where we want to keep our heads. Okay, Judgment. Man. This is a card that's often associated with Pluto, which actually will have just gone into retrograde in Capricorn as well. By the time this full moon is happening. Resurrecting our shadow sides, our old wounds, and freeing them. And what's interesting about, the relational energy of Libra and the fact that the nature of reality is going to be questioned and everything, yes. And we're going to be worrying about our identities and how people are perceiving us and how people care about us and what is true and what is not. We're going to be kind of having that going on at the top. But underneath that, the flip side of that is that what it's doing for us, if we're really listening in, is we're realizing that none of that matters. Sometimes you have to engage with the thing in order to recognize that it doesn't matter. And that part of the reason you are needing to engage with it is because there's a part of you that's wounded or hurt that wants to find an external way to express it or feel it or validate it or create it. When in fact, it's just reflecting back at us. So as tempting as it's going to be to try and make it about all this other external stuff. What this Judgment card is telling me is like, the best way you can utilize this energy is flip it on its head. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what that person thinks of you. It doesn't matter what somebody else's version of reality is, because I guarantee you it's going to be different than yours. We're all creators. We're all creating reality all the time. That's why it's a pointless endeavor to try and create a cohesive narrative with everybody around you, because we're all creating all the time. It's a fool's errand. And it won't feel very good. However, judgment is freeing, right? The other thing to keep in mind, like I said, let this moon come and go. Let it come and go. I guarantee you, anything that seems important in that little window of time, a few days later, it's just going to be like, oh, what was that? World. Endings, beginnings, right? And full moons always have this energy because they illuminate everything. They give it a nice big illumination, show you all the nooks and crannies, help you calibrate your scales, help you release, help you embrace. Now, the one thing I will say, this is why this moon is challenging and why coming into this, I'm feeling a little, normally it's still intuitive, it's still a tool. However, the way that things might get illuminated this month, it might be a warped perspective. It might feel a little warped, It's like the things that are getting lit up may not really be the most important things. And all these cards are showing me that you have to have a center point. You have to be the gauge for what matters to you. This moon will reflect to you that however much you try and make it about the external world, whatever is getting amplified inside of yourself will get amplified outside of yourself. Therefore, be with yourself. Be with yourself on this full moon. It's going to be so tempting to get in all these narratives. It can be really fun to tell stories and weave stories. It can be really fun to get into the back and forth dialogue between you and another person. It can be really fun to create story, create myth, create legends of ourselves and others. It can also be, it's a volatile tool set. It is going to be shifting things around, especially when I'm looking at these cards. There's a shift, but as always, there's a shift. But hold this one lightly, you guys. Hold this one lightly. Listen to Saturn. It's a way safer bet over there in Capricorn. All right. I think I covered it. It's an interesting one, erring on the practical side is really the way that I would go. Take care of your body. Try and stay out of your head. And you'll be fine. You'll be fine. What can I say? It's an interesting moon. It could be an interesting night as well to journal and just see what's coming out of you and to look back a couple days later and see how in line with the rest of your energy and your life path it is. For some of you, maybe this energy will flow much easier. But, okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm just going to stop there. Okay, so look at this gorgeous crown that I'm wearing. Isn't this amazing? It is just gorgeous. It is going to be for sale. I'm leaving the link for this crown below. It is a beautiful story. Of course, PinkLune handmade this. We collaborate and we kind of talk about what the moon is and what's coming up for us in the time of year and in the energy. And this has just such a beautiful story. It will probably make me tear up because this is the goddess of spring crown. And it's all mixed in here with the different colors of what spring brings with it. Clouds, blue skies, spring, flowers, and the complexity of this time of year as we shift. Now I know Southern Hemisphere people, you're going through the other shift, but we are in a time of shift, and this is the first full moon of the spring up here in the Northern Hemisphere, and it's a beautiful time. And I'm so happy that I get to work with people that I love so much. I love wearing this. I'm actually like sad that I have to send it away because I could just walk around my house all day wearing this crown. But check out the description box. Of course, she has more crowns and more goodies in her store, so check her out. I'm going to leave my website, my email. I am doing sessions in April, and I will be fresh from some time traveling, so it should be a really great time to do some work together. I love you guys. Take it easy. Don't worry. Don't let narrative worry you. Up here is all the doubt. Stick here. You'll be fine.